With the recent tragedy in Boston still fresh in our minds, it remains clear that terrorism and violent extremism continue to be prevalent threats around the world. And the RCMP's recent arrest of 2 individuals in Canada, resulting from an ongoing investigation into terrorism-related activities, demonstrates that terrorism continues to be a real threat here at home as well. Canada will not tolerate terrorist activity, and we will not be used as a safe haven for terrorists or those who support terrorist activity. Ladies and gentlemen, preventing, countering, and prosecuting terrorism is a top priority for our government. This government believes in the Canadian justice system and in our society, which holds people to account for their choice to commit these acts. Canadians can be assured that we will stand firm in our commitment to keep Canadians safe from those who wish to harm us. Our government will continue to be vigilant and take the steps necessary to protect Canadians and their families and work with those international partners who share our values. We must do everything we can to prevent events like the bombing of Flight 182. Preventing future acts of terrorism is the greatest tribute we can offer to the families and friends of victims of terrorism. To do this, we must equip ourselves with knowledge that helps us identify and address threats, that promotes resilience among Canadians in the face of terrorism, and that enables us to create tools to effectively counter terrorism and violent extremism. Today I'm happy to announce the 3rd round of funding for the Kanishka Research Project. This follows 2 very successful rounds of projects, a few of which I will speak to shortly. 2 years ago, our government announced a $10 million investment over 5 years for the Kanishka Project, an initiative that supports Canada's overall counter-terrorism strategy. Just last year, I was proud to announce the 1st round of funding under the project. At that time, I indicated I would update you on the status of these research initiatives. Today, I am pleased to say that we have indeed seen significant progress. Our understanding of issues like the recruitment methods and tactics of terrorists is being strengthened, providing more effective policies, tools, and resources for law enforcement and people on the front lines, including community leaders, police, lawyers, and judges. It is being strengthened because over the first 2 years of this initiative, we have significantly expanded the community of researchers, disciplines, and universities addressing such questions. And we have connected that research community with officials responsible for national security. Just on the side, I was very pleased to note the Ontario Court of Appeal decision in sentencing the Toronto 18 bombers that recognized that terrorists are a very different breed of criminals. They're still criminals, there's no question about it. But you saw some very lengthy sentences handed down by the courts in there in recognition that terrorism is a very different kind of an offense and must be dealt with very, very seriously. I think that's the kind of impact that research and our knowledge of terrorism is beginning to have this impact then in our institutions of government, including our courts. I think that we will see some of that develop as a result of the research that is going to occur. I would like to highlight some of this research here today. The Association for Canadian Studies is taking measure of Canadians' awareness, knowledge, and perspectives on issue of security, terrorism, and counterterrorism. This research will support the government's commitment in the counterterrorism strategy to build resilience in the face of terrorist threats and attacks. These researchers also recently published a special issue of the journal Canadian Diversity to both showcase early results of the Kanishka-funded study and to bring together a range of international experts to consider the implications of their initial findings. A team from Ryerson University and the University of Alberta is conducting groundbreaking research on the community-specific dynamics that shape the risk of radicalization and violent extremism and what steps can be taken to curtail that risk. And here at Carleton University, researchers have completed a study of terrorist groups that have used or attempted to use or acquire chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear weapons in terrorist attacks. By examining the historical record, researchers have shed light on the types of groups that seek to acquire and use these weapons. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just a snapshot of the important and, might I add, practical work being done through the Kanishka Project. This project is about providing law enforcement and security agencies with the tools necessary to combat terrorism. In so doing, we understand terrorism is not a part of our society, but the action of those who have rejected it and have attempted to condemn its citizens to fear and death. Terrorism is a method of attack. It is a planned assault and not a creation of our society or our beliefs. People who ask about how our society may be at fault in causing terrorism are asking the wrong question. Terrorism in a free society like ours is a matter of personal choice and therefore personal responsibility. Those who engage in it will feel the full force of the law. The Kanishka Project is providing a wealth of information to our policymakers, to law enforcement, to community leaders, to lawyers, and, as I indicated in the specific example of the Ontario, the Toronto 18 case, to judges. That is why our government believes strongly in the Kanishka Project and is investing $1.7 million for the third round of funding to support 11 new research proposals. This doubles the number of projects we are supporting, but is not the only way we are expanding the community of researchers. It is my pleasure today to announce a new dimension to the Kanishka Project. We will now be supporting graduate student research projects. It is our hope that the students working on these projects will bring new energy and perspective and will carry on the legacy of the Kanishka Project through their scholarship. Through research funded by this project, I feel that we are headed in the right direction. The Kanishka Project is not just about research. We need to become better at connecting policymakers, frontline officials, researchers, and diverse communities, along with key partners in the private and non-profit sectors. By building networks among these key actors in the field of counterterrorism, we are building Canada's capacity to detect terrorism in its early stages, deter those who would commit these acts, prevent them from succeeding, and to respond to a terrorist attack by improving the resilience of our infrastructure and social fabric.